I hauled the last cardboard box into the living room and slumped onto the hardwood floor, gasping for air. This two-bedroom apartment was better than I expected. The design was clean and simple, it got great light, and most importantly, it was close to my office for a price I could stomach. Of course, the only reason I could stomach it was because I was splitting it with a roommate. My phone buzzed. A new message on the Roommate Finder app. Hi, I saw your listing. My name is Chloe. I'm 24, female, and a freelance illustrator. I keep a regular schedule. I'm clean, and I don't have any bad habits. Would it be possible to see the place? She'd attached a photo. The girl in the picture had her hair in a ponytail, a smile that made her eyes crinkle, and a simple white t-shirt. She looked nice, refreshing. I texted back, sure. Would 3 o'clock this afternoon work for you? Her reply was instant. Perfect. At 10 minutes to 3, my doorbell rang. I opened it, and the girl standing there was just like her photo, except her hair was down, falling over the shoulders of a light blue sundress. She was holding a small canvas tote bag. Hi, I'm Chloe, she said with a little nod. Ethan, come on in. I stepped aside to let her pass. Chloe walked through the apartment, glancing into both bedrooms, then inspecting the kitchen and bathroom. I followed a few steps behind her, feeling strangely nervous. She was thorough, but her face was unreadable, giving no clue as to what she was thinking. The apartment's really nice, she finally said. The rent is split 50-50, like you said. I can prepay for 3 months. So you'll take it? I asked. Yeah, but I have a habit I need to mention up front. She turned to face me, her expression serious. At home, especially when I'm not working, I don't really like wearing a bra. If you're okay with that, I'll take the room. If not, I won't waste any more of your time. I just stared, my mouth open, but no sound came out. Chloe's expression was completely calm, like she was telling me she preferred her tea without sugar. She waited for my answer, her eyes showing no hint of provocation or embarrassment, just a straightforward statement of fact. I clear my throat. When you're at home, that's your business. I don't have a problem with it. Good, she nodded. I'll move in tomorrow. I can give you the deposit now. She efficiently counted out a stack of bills from her tote bag and handed them to me, then pulled out her phone. Can I get your number? Just to make things easier. After we'd exchanged info, Chloe left. I closed the door and just stood in the living room for a minute, completely baffled. What the hell just happened? That night, I called my best friend, Leo. What? She actually said that. Leo burst out laughing on the other end of the line. Ethan, my man, you hit the jackpot. It's not a jackpot. It's a roommate situation, I said. She just has a personal preference and was decent enough to mention it beforehand. Oh, come on. What normal girl tells a random guy she's about to move in with that she doesn't wear a bra? She's totally into you. Don't be an idiot, I said. She seemed perfectly normal, just really direct. You just wait, man. This is going to be good, Leo said with a smirk in his voice. Remember to lock your door. Guard your virtue. Screw you. After hanging up, I opened Chloe's profile on social media. There wasn't much there, mostly close-ups of her artwork and some landscape photos. No selfies, no inspirational quotes. It was as clean as a corporate account. The next day was Saturday, and Chloe moved in that morning. She didn't have much stuff, 2 suitcases, a large art supply case, and a laptop bag. I helped her carry her things inside and discovered she was stronger than she looked. I struggled lifting the big art case, but Chloe managed to drag it along just fine. Thanks, she said, pushing the case in her new room. Let me get unpacked a little, and then lunch is on me. A housewarming meal. You don't have to do that. I want to. There's a ramen place downstairs. I saw it had good reviews, Chloe said. Noon. Works for me. At noon, we were sitting in the ramen shop. Chloe ordered the spicy beef, and I got the tonkatsu. So what do you do, she asked. I'm a level designer at a game studio, I said. Oh, cool. Same field, sort of. I'm an illustrator, but I pick up some freelance game art contracts on the side, Chloe said. Which studio? Nebula Interactive. Oh, I know them. You guys made Journey to the Empyrean, she said, her eyes lighting up. I played that game. The environments were beautiful. Thanks, I smiled. What about you? What do you usually draw? Mostly children's books and some illustrations for magazines, she said. Freelance life. The income isn't stable, but the freedom is nice. Our ramen arrived, and as we ate, we found we had a lot in common. We both loved sci-fi movies, classic fantasy novels, and hated cilantro. So about that habit, I couldn't stop myself from bringing it up. Chloe looked up at me. What about it? Having second thoughts? No, I said, waving my hands. I was just curious why you said it so directly. Most people would probably try to be a little more subtle, you know? Chloe took a sip of her broth and thought for a moment. I just think it's better to be upfront. If it was something you couldn't handle, it would make living together awkward for both of us. Better to clear the air from the start. And it's not a big deal, right? It's just a personal habit. I'm obviously not going to do it in my own room. And if I'm in the living room in sweats or a hoodie, you can't tell anyway. Does it really bother you? No, I said honestly. It was just unexpected. Good, Chloe smiled. I'm a pretty blunt person. If I ever do anything that makes you uncomfortable, just tell me. After lunch, Chloe went back to unpacking. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, and the weird tension I'd been feeling started to fade. She was right. It was just a personal habit, and being clear about it up front just saved us both a lot of trouble. That evening, I was in the kitchen making some instant ramen when Chloe came out of her room. She was wearing a loose t-shirt and shorts, her hair thrown up in a messy bun. Making ramen? She asked, walking into the kitchen. I brought some of my mom's homemade chili crisp. Want to add some? Sure. Chloe got a glass jar from the fridge and scooped a spoonful into my pot. As she leaned over, the collar of her shirt gaped a little. I instinctively looked away. Is that enough? She asked. Yep, plenty. Okay, I'm heading back to my room to work. I've got a deadline tomorrow, she said, rinsing her hands. Good night. Night. I carried my bowl back to the living room and heard her bedroom door click shut. I took a bite of the ramen. The chili crisp was amazing. The first night passed peacefully. Living with Chloe was easier than I could have imagined. She really did keep a regular schedule, up by 8 and in bed before midnight. She spent most of the day working in her room, only coming out occasionally for tea or fruit. She was incredibly clean, always tidying up the common areas. Her cooking was pretty good, too. On weekends, she'd make simple dishes and always ask if I wanted to join her. As for her habit, I gradually got used to it. Chloe usually wore baggy loungewear around the apartment, so you really couldn't tell anything. On the rare occasion she did yoga in the living room, wearing a more fitted tank top, I just make myself scarce and go to my own room. We coexisted like normal roommates, polite, with a comfortable distance. Until a Friday night 2 weeks later. I'd worked late, getting home around 9, exhausted and ready to collapse. When I opened the door, the living room light was on. Chloe was curled up on the couch, hugging her knees, her eyes red. What's wrong? I asked, dropping my backpack. Chloe looked up and forced a smile. Nothing, just work stuff. Her laptop was open on the coffee table, displaying a half-finished illustration. Client reject your work? I guessed. Yeah, she sniffled. Said the style wasn't what they wanted, but they were the ones who sent me the style guide in the first place. I did exactly what they asked, and now they want changes. I've done 3 revisions, and it's still not right. Her voice cracked. My rent for this month was depending on that job. I sat down on the chair across from her. Did they pay a deposit? 30%, but it's not enough, Chloe said, rubbing her eyes. Whatever. I'll just find another gig. She closed her laptop and stood up. Have you eaten? I made some soup. There's a little left. I ate, thanks, I said. Chloe went to the kitchen. I watched her go. She was wearing that gray t-shirt she always wore, the sleeves rolled up to her elbows, revealing her slender arms. Actually, I started. My company is looking for some freelance artists right now. If you're interested, I could put your name forward. She turned around. Really? Yeah, but you have to pass a skills test. I can't make the final call. The test is no problem. I'm confident about that, she said, her eyes shining again. Thank you, Ethan. Don't mention it, I said. Just email me your portfolio, and I'll send it to my art director on Monday. Okay, I'll get it ready tonight, Chloe said, carrying her bowl of soup back into the living room. You're a lifesaver. When she smiled, her eyes curved into crescents again. Suddenly, I felt like doing her this favor was completely worth it. On Monday, I sent Chloe's portfolio to my art director, Rick Davis. He replied quickly. Her work is good. Have her come in for a test. Wednesday morning, I forwarded the message to Chloe, and she responded with a string of thank you emojis. Wednesday morning, Chloe made an effort to dress up. She wore a nice blouse and a long skirt, with just a touch of makeup. She looked professional and gentle at the same time. Good luck, I told her at the door. Thanks, I'll need it, she said with a little wave before hurrying out. I was distracted all day at work. At 3 in the afternoon, Chloe texted me. Test is done. I think it went okay. Mr. Davis said he'll be in touch. You'll be fine, I replied. At 5:30, as I was leaving, I ran into Rick in the elevator. That illustrator today, Chloe, you recommended her, he asked. Yeah, she's my roommate, I said. Her work is really solid, especially her sense of color, Rick said. But there's one issue. What's that? She's asking to work from home, not in the office, he said. For this project, we need someone who can integrate with the team, so they have to be in-house for the first month. Think you can convince her? I thought about it. I can try. When I got home, Chloe was in the kitchen pan-frying dumplings. The smell hit me, and I realized how hungry I was. How was the test? She asked. Rick said your work was great, I said, washing my hands. But he also told me that the job requires you to be in the office for the first month. The motion of her flipping the dumplings paused for a second. I know you don't like working in office, but this project is on a tight deadline, and they need you to sync up with the team, I explained. It's just for 1 month, then you can work remotely. Can you think about it? Chloe didn't say anything. She just plated the dumplings and carried them to the living room. We sat down to eat, the atmosphere a little tense. It's not that I don't like working in an office, she said suddenly. I'm not great at being around a lot of people. After freelancing for so long, I've developed a bit of social anxiety. I looked up at her. But I need this job, she continued, so I'll do it. I'll email Mr. Davis tomorrow and tell him I'm in. If you're not comfortable, I can. I started to say I can help you, but I stopped. How could I help? It's fine. I have to take this step eventually, Chloe said with a small smile. And besides, with you at the company, at least I'll know one person. I nodded. If you need anything, just let me know. I will, she said, putting a dumpling on my plate. Try this. I made them myself. The pork and cabbage dumplings were delicious. I ate about a dozen until I was stuffed. After dinner, Chloe insisted on washing the dishes while I wiped down the table. We stood side by side in the kitchen, the sound of running water filling the space with a strange, domestic comfort. Hey, to thank you for the job recommendation, let me take you out to dinner this weekend, Chloe said. Anywhere you want. You really don't have to. I do, she said, turning off the faucet and shaking the water from her hands. It's a date. Figuratively. On Thursday, Chloe officially started as a contract artist at Nebula Interactive. I showed her around and introduced her to some colleagues. She was poised and friendly, showing no signs of social anxiety at all. Pretty good acting, huh? She whispered to me during lunch in the cafeteria. My palms are sweating like crazy. I couldn't tell, I said. You seem totally natural. It's all about the performance, she said with a proud little arch of her eyebrow. That expression caught me off guard. It was the first time I'd seen this lively, playful side of her. Later that afternoon, I had to drop off some files with the art department and saw Chloe sitting in a corner, completely focused on the drawing tablet in front of her. The sunlight streamed through the window, tracing a golden line along the side of her face. She was so serious when she worked, and beautiful. I stood there for a few seconds before turning to leave. We rode home together on a crowded subway, squeezed into a corner. Chloe stood in front of me, the top of her head only reaching my shoulder. She smelled faintly of something clean like orange blossoms. Thanks for today, she said, looking up at me. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have made it through the day. You'll get used to it, I said. I hope so, she smiled. When we got home, Chloe went straight to her room, saying she needed to finish up some work from the day. After I showered and came out, I saw a bowl of washed grapes on the coffee table. Left those for you, Chloe said, peeking her head out of her room. They're really sweet. I sat down and ate the grapes. They were, in fact, very sweet. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. So, any progress with your no-bra roommate? I typed back. We're normal roommates. Stop being weird. I don't believe you. A single guy and a single girl living in the same apartment? How normal can it be? Get lost. I locked my phone and kept eating the grapes. Chloe's door was cracked open, and I could hear the faint, rhythmic scratch of her stylus on the tablet. Somehow, the sound was incredibly comforting. Chloe's first week in the office went better than anyone could have expected. Her skills were top-notch, and she integrated into the project team quickly, even helping a few colleagues solve some technical problems. Rick praised her to me several times, saying I'd made a great recommendation. Before clocking out on Friday, Rick called a meeting for the art team, which included Chloe. When it was over, I waited for her by the door. "How'd it go?" I asked. "Passed the initial review," she said, looking relieved. "Rick is giving me a new assignment on Monday." "Congratulations." "Let me take you out to dinner tonight to celebrate," Chloe said. "I know a great hot pot place." Okay. The restaurant was loud and steamy. Chloe ordered a split pot, with one side bubbling with red, fiery chili oil that made me a little nervous. "You can't handle spicy food?" she asked. "A little, but not that much." "Then you take the mild side," she said, naturally dropping slices of beef into the clear broth. "The beef here is incredibly tender. Try it." She watched the pot as she spoke, her eyelashes fluttering in the rising steam. For a second, the scene felt a little too intimate. But I didn't say anything. I just picked up a slice of meat and tried it. She was right, it was tender. "So you studied art in college?" I asked, trying to make conversation. "Yeah, graduated from art school," she said. "I originally wanted to be a professional painter, but reality is a harsh critic, so I switched to illustration." "Do you still paint?" "I mean, like fine art?" "Sometimes," she said, "just for myself. It's not like anyone would buy it. Can I see your work sometime?" She looked up at me, a hint of surprise in her eyes. "You really want to?" "Yeah." "Okay, maybe this weekend." "I'll show you," she smiled. "But don't get your hopes up. It's all very personal stuff." After dinner, we walked home. The night air was cool, and Chloe pulled her jacket tighter. "Cold?" I asked. "A little." She rubbed her hands together. I hesitated for a moment, then unwound my scarf and handed it to her. "Here." Chloe took the scarf, paused, and then smiled. "Thanks." She wrapped it around her neck. The dark gray cashmere made her face look small and pale. The fabric still held my body heat. "You're a really good person," she said. "It's just a scarf." "It's more than that," she said, her voice serious. "From the very beginning, you've been nothing but respectful and considerate. I know my habit is a little weird, but you've never once made me feel uncomfortable." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just mumbled, "That's just basic decency." "Not everyone is basically decent," she said softly. When we got back to the apartment, Chloe brought a stack of canvases out of her room and laid them on the living room floor. They were all oil paintings, mostly small, but there were a lot of them. I looked through them one by one. There were landscapes, still lifes, and portraits. The colors were bold, the brushstrokes confident, a complete departure from the commercial illustrations I'd seen her do. "What's this one?" I asked, pointing to a canvas painted in deep blues and blacks. "The ocean," she said, sitting down on the floor next to me. "I painted it one night when I was watching the sea by myself." The painting depicted the ocean at midnight. It was almost completely dark, with just a sliver of moonlight reflecting on the distant water. It felt lonely and oppressive. "You like the ocean?" I asked. "I love it, and I'm afraid of it," she said. "It's so vast, it makes you feel insignificant." I kept looking through the paintings, stopping at a portrait. It was of a young woman in profile, her gaze directed out of the frame, her expression unreadable and complex. "That's me," Chloe said. "A self-portrait. It doesn't look like you," I said. "How so?" "The eyes," I said. "You usually seem more relaxed." Chloe laughed. "That's the mask. The girl in the painting is the real me." I turned to look at her. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, the collar of her lounge shirt slightly open, her hair falling loosely around her shoulders. In the warm light of the living room, her features were soft and real. "They're really good," I said. "Really? Really? You should keep painting. Don't give it up." Chloe was quiet for a moment. "Thank you," she said. She started gathering the paintings, and I helped her. Our hands brushed occasionally. Hers were cold. "Why are your hands so cold?" I asked. "Bad circulation, I guess," she said. "It's worse in the winter. They're like ice blocks. You should drink more hot water." Spoken like a true, clueless guy, she laughed. "But I'll take your advice." By the time we finished, it was almost midnight. Chloe yawned. "I'm going to bed. I have to work tomorrow." "Tomorrow's Saturday." "Yeah. Project deadline is looming," she said. "You?" "I have to go in too." "Then let's go together." "Okay." After saying goodnight, I went to my room. I lay in bed, but my mind was filled with her paintings, especially the self-portrait. The girl's eyes kept flashing in my mind. I suddenly realized that what I knew about Chloe was probably just the tip of the iceberg. Saturday at the office ended around 3. When I walked out of the building, I found Chloe waiting for me by the entrance. "You didn't leave yet?" I asked. "I was waiting for you," she said. "Let's go to the grocery store. We're out of everything." The supermarket was crowded. We pushed a cart through the aisles, Chloe expertly picking out vegetables, examining tomatoes, and squeezing cucumbers for freshness. "You know how to cook?" I asked. "A little." "You?" "I can make ramen." Chloe laughed. "Okay, new deal. On weekends, I'll cook, you do the dishes." "Deal." After buying groceries and some household supplies, we were waiting in the checkout line. The couple in front of us was being overly affectionate. The girl whined that she couldn't carry the shopping bags, and the guy cooed, "You'll never have to carry anything as long as I'm around." Chloe and I made eye contact, then both quickly looked away, a little embarrassed. "So, I started." "Yeah." She looked up. "Nothing." After checking out, we each carried a bag home. On the way, we passed a flower shop, and Chloe stopped to look. "You like flowers?" I asked. "I love sunflowers," she said. "They just make you happy looking at them." I didn't say anything, but I filed that away. On Sunday morning, I was woken up by the doorbell. I opened the door to find a flower delivery. A huge bouquet of sunflowers. "For Miss Chloe," the delivery guy said. I signed for them and brought the bouquet inside. Chloe was just coming out of her room, looking sleepy. "Who was that?" "Flowers for you," I said, handing them to her. Chloe stared, taking the bouquet. There was a card tucked inside. She opened it, her expression turning from sleepy to confused. "Who sent them?" I asked. "I don't know. It's not signed," she said. "It just says, 'Happy Weekend.'" She put the flowers in a vase on the dining table. The bright yellow sunflowers lit up the whole room. "Maybe it's a secret admirer?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "I haven't given my address to anyone," Chloe frowned. "Besides you and delivery services." She suddenly looked at me. "It wasn't you, was it?" My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my face neutral. "Why would I send you flowers?" "You're right," she laughed. "You're way too clueless for something like that." I turned and went to the kitchen for a glass of water, feeling a little sour. Clueless? Was I really that bad? But the flowers definitely weren't from me. So who were they from? The sunflower incident remained a mystery. Chloe checked the order online and found it was from a flower delivery website with the sender's information kept private. She asked a few of her friends, but they all denied sending them. "Whatever, I give up," she said, letting it go. "They're pretty anyway." But it bothered me. I casually tried to ask if she had a boyfriend or anyone pursuing her. She said no, her tone firm. "I don't have time for dating right now," she'd said. "I need to focus on making a living first." The project at work entered its most critical phase, and we were both swamped. Chloe often worked late into the night, and so did I. Sometimes I'd get home in the early hours of the morning and still see the light on in her room. One night, I got home at 2 a.m. and found Chloe asleep at the dining table, slumped over her laptop. The screen was still on, showing a half-finished concept piece. I walked over quietly, wanted to wake her so she could go to bed, but she looked so exhausted I didn't have the heart. I grabbed a throw blanket from the couch and gently draped it over her shoulders. Chloe stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "You're back." "Yeah. Why are you sleeping out here?" "I was so tired, I just wanted to rest my eyes for a minute." "And fell asleep," she said, sitting up. The blanket slipped off. She was wearing a thin pajama top with a low neckline. I averted my eyes. "Go to bed." "Okay," she said, rubbing her eyes and picking up her laptop. "You too. Get some rest." She walked to her bedroom door, then turned back. "Ethan." "Yeah." "Thanks for the blanket." "No problem." She smiled and closed her door. I stood there for a moment, rubbing my nose. Maybe I should start thinking about finding a new roommate. If things kept on like this, it was going to get complicated. But the thought of her moving out left a hollow feeling in my chest. On Wednesday, I saw Chloe in the cafeteria eating lunch with a few colleagues from the art department. She was in the middle of the group, telling some joke that had everyone laughing. I found a table in the corner and watched from a distance. She was popular at work, bright and cheerful, a different person from the quiet girl at home. Maybe that was the real her, and the version I saw was just her when she was tired. "What are you staring at?" Leo asked, sitting down across from me with his tray. "Hey, isn't that your roommate?" "Yeah." "She's really cute," he said with an appreciative whistle. "You haven't made a move yet?" "We're just roommates." "Yeah, right. The way you look at her isn't how you look at just a roommate, Leo said, lowering his voice. If you like her, go for it. You've got the home field advantage. I didn't answer, just focused on my food. I zoned out again during a meeting that afternoon. I was thinking about Chloe, the way she smiled, the way she focused on her art, the way she walked around the apartment in her baggy sweats. Ethan, what do you think? Rick's voice cut through my thoughts. Huh. I snapped back to reality. The design proposal for the new level. Any thoughts? He asked. I quickly scanned the document and managed to offer a few coherent suggestions. Rick nodded, satisfied. After the meeting, he stopped me. You seem a little off lately. Burning out. A little, I admitted. Make sure you get some rest. This project wraps up at the end of the month. We'll give you guys a break then, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. Thanks, Rick. It was raining when I left work. I hadn't brought an umbrella, so I was stuck waiting by the entrance for it to let up. Chloe walked over and offered me one of hers. Let's go. You brought two? I saw the forecast said rain, so I packed an extra, she said. Come on, it's getting worse. Huddling under one umbrella was a tight squeeze. I tried to angle it more over her, getting my own shoulder soaked in the process. You're getting wet, she said. It's fine. On the subway, we stood side by side. She smelled of that faint, clean scent mixed with the fresh smell of rain. Ethan, she said suddenly. Yeah. What kind of person do you think I am? I thought for a moment. Serious, professional, talented. You've got a good personality, but you work way too hard sometimes. That's it. And you're a beautiful artist and a decent cook, I added. She smiled. All good things. No flaws. Flaws. I hesitated. Well, you could be a little too direct sometimes. It can make things awkward. Like, when we first met. That's called being honest, she retorted. Right. Honest, I agreed smoothly. She looked at me, her gaze serious. So, do you think a girl like me could be liked by someone? My heart hammered against my ribs. Of course. What about you, she asked. Do you like me? The train screeched to a halt at the station. The crowd surged forward, and I stumbled. By the time I regained my balance, Chloe was already a few steps ahead, looking back at me. Hurry up, the doors are closing. Her expression was completely normal, as if she had just been asking a casual question. I followed her out, my mind reeling. What did she mean by that? Was she testing me? Or was it just a random thought? When we got home, Chloe changed and went straight to the kitchen to cook. I sat in the living room, my mind replaying our conversation on the subway over and over. Dinner's ready, she called, bringing out the food, 2 dishes and a soup. Simple, but it looked delicious. Try this, she said, giving me a piece of pork rib. It's a new recipe. The ribs were perfectly seasoned. It's good, I nodded. Glad you like it. Neither of us brought up the subway conversation during dinner. Chloe chattered about funny things that happened at the office, and I listened quietly. While we were doing the dishes, she said suddenly, Ethan, I think I might move out next month. The bowl in my hand almost slipped. Why? The project ends this month, so my contract is up. I need to find new work, and it might not be in this city, she said. And besides, living with you forever. It's not really convenient. What's not convenient? I asked. I think it's been great. She turned to look at me, the faucet still running. You really think it's been great? Yeah. Even with my habit. That's your business. I respect it. Chloe was silent for a moment. Ethan, you're a really good guy. The classic good guy line. My stomach sank. But I still have to move, she continued. I need a change of scenery. When did you decide this? Today, she said, turning off the water. With the project ending, it's time for me to figure out my next move. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to ask her to stay. But as what? Her roommate? Her colleague? Her friend? None of those titles felt strong enough. Have you found a place yet? Was all I could manage. Not yet. I'll start looking, she said, drying her hands. Thanks for everything this past month. Don't mention it. She went back to her room. I stood in the kitchen, staring out the window into the dark. I felt like a part of me had been hollowed out. The next few days were weird. Chloe went about her routine as usual, working, cooking, cleaning, but I could feel her putting up a wall. We didn't commute together anymore, didn't eat together. If we passed each other in the living room, she'd just nod and disappear into her room. I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't know what to say. Don't go. Why? Because I think I'm falling for you? It felt too sudden. On Friday night, I worked late, getting home around 11. The living room light was on. Chloe was sitting on the couch, her laptop in front of her, the screen dark. She seemed to be lost in thought. "You're still up?" I asked. She looked up, startled. "Yeah, just thinking." "About the project?" "No," she said, closing the laptop. "Personal stuff." I sat down across from her. "Want to talk about it?" She looked at me, her expression complicated. "Ethan, do you think it's possible for two people who are roommates to become something else?" My heart started racing. "What do you mean?" "Exactly what it sounds like," she said. "Like roommates becoming a couple." "It's possible," I answered cautiously. "What about us then?" she asked. "Is it possible?" I took a deep breath. "You want the honest truth?" "Of course." "Yes," I said, "but I don't know how you feel." A sad smile touched her lips. "I don't know how I feel either. I like you a lot, Ethan. You're kind, thoughtful. You respect me. You're a great person. But I'm not sure if what I'm feeling is just a temporary dependence or if it's real." She paused. "And I have a lot of issues. I'm emotionally volatile. Sometimes I just shut down for no reason. I'm not good at long-term relationships. My last one ended because I was too independent. And then there's my habit. You say you don't mind, but if we were together long-term, could you really accept it?" I let her finish before I spoke. "Chloe, I have issues too. I'm a workaholic who's always at the office, so I might not have much time for you. I'm a clueless guy who doesn't know the first thing about romance, so I'd probably disappoint you. And I've never lived with a girlfriend before, so I have no idea what I'm doing." I looked straight at her. "But I think we could try. If there are problems, we solve them. If things are hard, we face them together. If you're willing." Her eyes welled up. "You really think so?" "Yeah," I nodded. "So don't move out. Stay. Let's give this a try." She bit her lip as a tear rolled down her cheek. I panicked, grabbing a tissue and handing it to her. "Hey, don't cry. I'm happy," she said, wiping her eyes. "You idiot." She stood up, walked over to me, and leaned down to hug me. It was a light embrace, but my entire body went stiff. "Okay then, we'll try," she whispered in my ear. "But if it doesn't work out, you have to promise we can still be friends." "Okay." I lifted my arms and gently hugged her back. She felt soft and smelled faintly sweet. Holding her, my heart felt full. After that night, things changed. Chloe stopped keeping her distance. In fact, she grew closer. We started making breakfast together in the mornings and watching movies at night. We went grocery shopping on weekends, like a normal couple. But we were both cautious, careful not to cross any lines. The most intimate we got was a hug. We hadn't even held hands. On Monday, Rick announced that the project was finished ahead of schedule and gave everyone a 3-day break. The office erupted in cheers as people started making plans. "You got any plans?" I asked Chloe. "Sleep," she said. "I'm going to hibernate." "That's boring. Want to go somewhere." "Like where?" "The coast," I suggested. "You said you like the ocean." Her eyes lit up. "Okay, but isn't it going to be cold?" "We'll bundle up." We decided to leave the next day. That night, while we were packing, Chloe knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" "Sure." She came in holding her pajamas and toiletries. "So, I was thinking, since we were, trying this, maybe we should take another step." I froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, a faint blush on her cheeks. "Can I sleep in here tonight?" "Just sleeping. Nothing else." My brain short-circuited. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," she nodded. "I want to try." "Then, okay." Chloe put her stuff down and slid into bed like it was the most natural thing in the world. I lay down stiffly beside her, leaving a good foot of space between us. After the lights were out, the room was dark and silent, except for the sound of our breathing. "Ethan," she whispered. "Yeah." "Are you nervous?" "A little." "Me too," she laughed softly, "but it's not a bad feeling." She rolled over to face me. "Can I hold you?" I stretched out an arm, and she shifted closer, wrapping her arms around my waist. Her head rested on my shoulder, her breath warm against my neck. I tensed up even more. "Relax," she said. "I'm not going to bite." I slowly relaxed, raising my other arm to hold her. She was so thin, she felt small in my arms. "Good night," she mumbled. "Good night." I barely slept that night, but it was a peaceful kind of sleeplessness. When I woke up in the morning, Chloe was still asleep, her face buried in my chest, her hand resting on my waist. Sunlight streamed through a crack in the curtains, casting a golden glow on her hair. I looked at her, a feeling of contentment I'd never known washing over me. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was love. The trip to the coast was perfect. It was the off-season, so there weren't many tourists. The wind was sharp, and the waves crashed against the rocks with a kind of desolate beauty. Chloe, wrapped in a thick scarf, stood on the sand staring out at the horizon, lost in thought. "What are you thinking about?" I asked. "Old times," she said. "After my parents divorced, my mom used to bring me to the beach a lot. She said the ocean could swallow all your troubles." "Did it work?" "Kind of," she smiled. "At least when you look at the ocean, your own problems seem pretty small." She turned to look at me. "Do you think my family background is too complicated?" "No," I said. "Everyone has their own story." "You're so good to me," she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. "Ethan, I think I'm falling for you." My heart skipped a beat. Me too. We stayed for 2 nights, spending our days walking on the beach, eating seafood, and exploring little shops. At night, we curled up in our rental and watched movies. Chloe finally took my hand, lacing her fingers through mine, her palm warm against my own. On the drive back the 3rd day, she fell asleep, her head resting on my shoulder. I watched her peaceful face and couldn't resist leaning down to press a soft kiss to her forehead. It was a light touch, but it woke her. She opened her eyes, looked at me, and smiled. "Stulingo Kish." "Sorry," I apologized. "Don't be," she said, leaning in and touching her lips to mine for a brief second. "Now we're even." It was as light as a butterfly's wings, but it sent my pulse racing. We were both tired when we got home and went to bed early. Chloe slept in my room again, but this time it felt natural. She just got ready for bed and climbed in beside me. "Ethan," she said after we'd settled in. "Yeah." "Are we like official now?" "Yeah." "Should we celebrate?" she suggested. "Like, maybe we could have dinner with Leo tomorrow and tell him." I was surprised she'd bring it up. "You sure?" "Yeah. We should tell our friends," she said. "And I'd like to meet yours." "Okay. I'll text him tomorrow." The next night, the 3 of us met at a Sichuan restaurant. When Leo saw Chloe, his eyes went wide. He pulled me aside. "You actually did it?" "Yeah." "Dude, nice," he said, punching my arm. "You better treat her right." "I know." At the table, Leo kept the mood light, telling embarrassing stories about me from college. Chloe laughed so hard she was practically crying, while I just shot him dirty looks. "So, how did you 2 get together?" Leo asked. Chloe glanced at me. "It just sort of happened." "Who asked who out?" "I guess I did," she said. "I asked him if he wanted to give it a try." Leo gave me a thumbs up. "Look at you, Mr. Charming." Got the girl to make the first move. I felt myself blushing and reached for Chloe's hand under the table. She squeezed back, tracing a little circle on my palm with her finger. After we said goodbye to Leo, we walked home. The night was cool, but our joined hands were warm. "Leo's a great guy," she said. "Yeah, he just talks too much." "I like that. He's lively," she said. "I don't have a lot of friends, so it's nice to meet new people." I looked at her. "From now on, my friends are your friends." "So generous." "Yep." She smiled and leaned in to kiss me. "Your reward." This kiss lasted longer than the last one. When we finally broke apart, we were both a little breathless. "Let's go home," I said, my voice hoarse. "Okay." Back at the apartment, Chloe went to take a shower while I waited in the living room. The sound of the water running was a dull roar, but my mind was anything but quiet. I shook my head, trying to clear it. When Chloe came out, wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping wet, she walked over to me and bent down. "Can you help me dry my hair?" I took the towel and gently started blotting her hair. It was soft and smelled like her shampoo. "Ethan," she said suddenly. "Yeah." "Do you want me?" My hand stopped moving. "What?" I said. She repeated, turning to face me. "Do you want me?" "As your girlfriend." The next step. My throat was dry. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," she nodded. "I like you, and you like me. We're both serious about this. So I think it's okay." She paused. "Unless you don't want to." "I do," I said, "but I don't want you to regret it." "I won't," she smiled. "Unless you're really bad at it." I dropped the towel, scooped her up into my arms, and carried her to the bedroom. I was gentle, as if she were made of glass. That night, we belonged to each other. It was a little clumsy, but it was tender. At the end, she held me tight and whispered, "I love you," in my ear. I whispered back, "I love you too." Afterward, she lay on my chest, tracing patterns on my skin with her finger. "Did it hurt?" I asked. "A little, but I'm okay," she said. "What about you?" "Satisfied?" "Very," I said, kissing her forehead. "Go to sleep." "Okay." She was asleep in minutes, but I couldn't sleep. I held her in my arms, a sense of unreality washing over me. A month ago, we were strangers. Now, we were closer than I'd ever been to anyone. Life was strange. After we made it official, life changed. Chloe moved her things into my room, and her old bedroom became her art studio. We began to truly live together, and the adjustment period was smoother than I could have hoped. She was, as she'd warned, emotionally volatile sometimes. There were days she'd get quiet and distant, and I learned to recognize the signs, giving her space when she needed it and listening patiently when she was ready to talk. My job was still demanding, and I often worked late. She started leaving dinner for me, and she learned to greet me at the door with a hug, no matter how late it was. On weekends, we cooked, watched movies, and took long walks. It was simple, but it was perfect. One evening, I came home to find Chloe crying. She was sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by discarded sketches. "What's wrong?" I asked, rushing over. She looked up, her eyes full of tears. "I got a commission for a picture book, but halfway through, the client canceled. They said my style is too dark for children." I looked at the illustrations. The color palette was a bit dark, but the art was incredible. "Didn't they see your portfolio first?" "They did, but they said they wanted something sunnier," she said, wiping her eyes. I tried to adjust, but it wasn't good enough. I pulled her into a hug. "It's okay. If this one didn't work out, we'll find another one. Your art is amazing. Someone will see that." "Really? Really?" I said. "I have a friend who owns an art gallery. Do you want me to show him your paintings?" She shook her head. "No, I'm not ready for that." "Okay, whenever you're ready." That night, I helped her organize her sketches, and she told me the stories behind each piece. I felt like I was getting to know her on a deeper level. Her sensitivity, her talent, her fragility, and her strength. "Ethan," she said, leaning against my shoulder. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being here," she said. "Before, when things like this happened, I just had to deal with it alone. Having you here makes it so much better." I kissed the top of her head. "I'll always be here." At the end of the month, Chloe's contract at Nebula ended. Rick was thrilled with her work and said he'd call her for future projects. But he told me in private, "Your girlfriend is too talented to just be doing contract work for us. I know an art studio that's hiring full-time. Great pay, great benefits. Should I recommend her?" I asked Chloe what she thought, and she hesitated. "A full-time job means being in an office, dealing with people," she said. "I am scared." "But it's a great opportunity," I said. "You can challenge yourself. If you hate it, you can always quit." She thought about it. "Okay, I'll try." The interview went perfectly, and she got the job. The new studio had a great atmosphere, young colleagues, an open-minded boss. Chloe adapted quickly and even made a few friends. I was happy for her, but also a little worried. She was getting busier, sometimes working even later than I did. Our time together started to shrink. One night, I waited until 11, but she still wasn't home. She wasn't answering her phone or texts. I was starting to panic and was about to go look for her when the door opened. Chloe stumbled in, smelling of alcohol. "You've been drinking?" I asked, steadying her. "Team dinner," she said with a goofy grin. "Just a little." "I'm not drunk." "How much is a little?" "Like 2 beers," she said, throwing her arms around me. "Don't be mad. I won't do it again." I sighed and helped her to the bathroom. She started singing in the shower, completely off-key. After she was done, she seemed a bit more sober. She came out wrapped in a towel, her hair still dripping. "Ethan," she said, plopping down onto my lap. "I have good news." "What is it?" "A gallery wants to show my work," she said, her eyes sparkling. "The oil paintings I showed you, remember? The owner said he can put on a small exhibition for me." I was stunned. "Really? Chloe, that's amazing. Congratulations." "Yeah," she said, wrapping her arms around my neck. "It's all because you kept encouraging me. I never would have had the courage to show them to anyone otherwise. That was all you. Your art is incredible." She kissed me. "I love you. I love you too." That night, we made love gently. She was more assertive than usual, and I almost lost control. Afterward, she lay on my chest and whispered, "Ethan, let's get married." I thought I'd misheard her. "What?" I said. "Let's get married," she repeated, lifting her head to look at me seriously. "I want to be with you forever." My heart was pounding. "Are you sure? We've only been dating for 3 months. Some people know each other for 10 years and never get married. Some people know after 3 months that they've found the one," she said. "I know you're the one. What about you?" Am I the one for you? I looked at her, this girl who had crashed into my life. She was impulsive, direct, and emotional, but she was also sincere, brave, and brilliant. I nodded. Yes, you're the one. So you're saying yes? Yes, but we should meet each other's parents first, right? She smiled. Okay, parents first. We decided to visit our respective families the following month. Chloe was nervous. Her mother had remarried and lived in another city, and their relationship was strained. Do you think your mom will like me? She asked. She will, I said with certainty. You're amazing. Anyone would like you. What about your dad? My dad's even easier, I said. He's been dying for me to get married. That seemed to put her at ease a little. That weekend, I took Chloe shopping for an outfit to meet my parents. She tried on dress after dress, never satisfied. Is this one too formal? Is this color too bright? Does this make me look fat? I patiently helped her choose, and we finally settled on a simple, elegant cream-colored dress. This is the one, I said. You look beautiful. She studied her reflection in the mirror. Really? Really, I said, hugging her from behind. My wife looks good in everything. She blushed. I'm not your wife yet. Soon, I whispered, kissing her ear. She shivered. That tickles. We messed around in the fitting room for a bit before finally checking out. The sales clerk gave us a knowing smile. On the way home, Chloe held my hand tightly. Ethan, yeah. Are we always going to be this happy? Yes, I said. I'll do everything I can to make sure we are. She smiled and rested her head on my shoulder. The setting sun stretched our shadows long across the pavement, making them merge into one, as if they would never separate. The day to meet my parents arrived. They live in the next town over, about a 2-hour drive. Chloe was a nervous wreck the whole way, constantly checking her hair and makeup. Relax, I said, taking her hand. My parents are really nice. What if they don't like me? They will. We pulled up to my parents' old apartment building. My mom was already waiting downstairs and rushed over as soon as she saw us. Hello, Mrs. Thompson, Chloe said politely. Hello, dear. Come on up, my mom beamed. Frank, they're here. My dad poked his head out of the kitchen. Hey, kids, have a seat. Dinner's almost ready. My mom fussed over the gift Chloe brought, telling her she shouldn't have spent the money, but I could tell she was thrilled. Lunch was a feast, and my mom kept piling food onto Chloe's plate. You have to eat more, you're too skinny. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Over the meal, my parents asked Chloe about her job and her family. She answered honestly, and when she mentioned her parents' divorce, she looked a little anxious. But my mom just nodded. That must have been hard, dear. From now on, you can think of this as your home, too. Chloe's eyes welled up. Thank you. After lunch, my dad challenged me to a game of chess, and Chloe helped my mom with the dishes. Ethan's always been a quiet boy, but he has a good heart, my mom said as she dried a plate. This is the first time he's ever brought a girl home. Chloe looked surprised. He's dated before, of course, but never brought anyone to meet us, my mom continued, looking at her. He told me you were the one. A warmth spread through Chloe's chest. I feel the same way about him. My mom smiled. Good. So, when are you two thinking of getting married? We haven't set a date, maybe next year. The sooner the better. I'm not getting any younger. I want to be able to help with the grandkids, my mom said. Chloe blushed. When we left that afternoon, my mom slipped a thick envelope into Chloe's hand. A welcome gift. Chloe tried to refuse, but my mom insisted. In the car, Chloe opened it. It was full of cash. This is way too much, she said, shocked. Just accept it, I said. It's her way of saying she loves you. Your parents are so wonderful. They'll be your parents soon, too. Chloe smiled. The huge weight finally lifted from her shoulders. Next, it was my turn to meet her mother. She lived in a coastal city, a 4-hour train ride away. On the way there, Chloe was quiet. I could feel her anxiety. Are you worried your mom won't like me? I asked. No. She shook her head. She might like you, but what? But she's never really cared much about my life, Chloe said with a bitter smile. After the divorce, she remarried quickly, started a new family. I always felt like an outsider. I took her hand. You have me now. Yeah. Chloe's mother lived in a fancy gated community. The house was immaculately decorated. Her stepfather was a businessman who looked sharp and shrewd. She also had a younger half-brother who was in middle school. Mom, this is Ethan, Chloe said. Nice to meet you, I said, handing over the gift I brought. Her mother nodded. Her demeanor wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. Her stepfather, on the other hand, was very talkative, asking me a lot of questions about my career. We had dinner at a restaurant, and the atmosphere was tense. Chloe's mother barely spoke, occasionally asking a generic question about Chloe's work with obvious disinterest. "So you two are planning on getting married?" her stepfather asked. "Yes, we are," I said. "Have you bought a house yet?" "We're looking." "And what about providing for her?" "The men in our circle, they make sure their wives are taken care of." Chloe's face paled. "Done?" I put a hand on hers. "Of course. We can discuss the details later." Her mother finally spoke. "Chloe, are you sure about this?" "I'm sure," Chloe said. "All right then," her mother said, and that was that. After dinner, Chloe walked me back to my hotel. In the lobby, she broke down. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry he made you feel uncomfortable." "I wasn't uncomfortable," I said, wiping away her tears. "Your mom is just not great at expressing herself. She doesn't care about me," Chloe sobbed. "She never has. And now that I'm getting married, she doesn't care if I'm happy. She only cares about the money." I pulled her into a hug. "I care about you, and I will make you happy." That only made her cry harder. I sat with her in my hotel room for a long time that night. When she finally cried herself out, she fell asleep against my shoulder. I gently carried her to the bed and tucked her in. I looked at her face, her brow still furrowed in sleep, and my heart ached for her. This girl, who seemed so strong and independent, was really just starved for love. I made a silent promise to myself. Then, I would spend the rest of my life loving her, filling in all the warmth she'd been missing. After returning from the trip, we started planning our future in earnest. We looked at houses, calculated our savings, and talked about the wedding. Chloe's art exhibition was a huge success, and she sold several paintings, earning a nice sum of money. She gave it all to me for the down payment on a house. "This is your money. You should keep it," I said, trying to give it back. "It's our money," she insisted. "We're a family now. We don't need to keep score." I was so moved, I just hugged her. "Okay, whatever you say." We found a 2-bedroom condo in a good neighborhood that didn't need much work. The day we signed the papers, we were both ecstatic. "We have our own home," Chloe said, twirling around in the empty living room. "Yeah," I said, wrapping my arms around her from behind. "Do you like it?" "I love it," she said, turning to kiss me. "I absolutely love it." Leo came to help us move, and he brought a girl with him. "This is my girlfriend, Ashley," he introduced. Ashley was a kindergarten teacher, warm and quick to smile. She and Chloe hit it off immediately, swapping ideas for decorating. "So, when's the wedding?" Ashley asked. "Next spring," Chloe said. "What about you two?" "We've only been dating for 6 months. No rush," Leo jumped in. "We're still enjoying the honeymoon phase." After a long day of work, we ordered takeout and sat on the floor of our new home, eating like we were back in college. "Dude, finding a girl like Chloe. You seriously lucked out," Leo said. "I know," I nodded. Chloe smiled. "I think I'm a lucky one." Ashley looked at them with envy. "You guys are so good together." After Leo and Ashley left, Chloe and I collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. "We're finally done," she sighed. "Yeah," I said, pulling her close. "Tired, exhausted, but happy," she said, resting her head on my shoulder. "Ethan, are we always going to be this happy?" "Yes," I said. "I promise." After her exhibition, an art magazine interviewed Chloe. The day the article came out, she held the magazine and stared at it for a long time. "Do you think my mom will be proud of me if she sees this?" she asked me. I knew she was still seeking her mother's approval. "She will be," but her mother never called. Instead, her stepfather did, saying he'd seen the article and congratulating her. "Your mother hasn't been well lately. She's in the hospital," he said. "You should come see her when you have time." Chloe was stunned. "What's wrong with her?" "The usual high blood pressure, but it's more serious this time. The doctor said she needs complete rest." After she hung up, Chloe was silent for a long time. "Do you want to go see her?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "She probably doesn't want to see me, but she's your mom." Chloe bit her lip. "Will you come with me?" "Of course." That weekend, we made the trip back to the coast. In the hospital room, Chloe's mother lay in bed, her face pale. She looked years older. "Mom," Chloe said softly. Her mother opened her eyes and saw her, a flash of surprise on her face. "What are you doing here?" "Dan said you were sick." It's nothing, just the usual. Her mother tried to sit up, and Chloe rushed to help her. The two of them sat in silence. I made an excuse to go get some water and left them alone. When I came back, I heard muffled sobs from inside. I stood at the door and saw Chloe hunched over her mother's bed, her shoulders shaking. Her mother was stroking her hair, her own eyes red. "I'm sorry, Chloe," her mother said. "All these years. I'm so sorry." "Don't. I have to," her mother choked out. "After the divorce, I was so wrapped up in my own pain, I ignored yours. And after I remarried, I was so busy building a new life, I didn't pay enough attention to you. It's not that I don't love you, honey, I didn't know how." Chloe cried even harder. I backed away quietly, giving them their space. Half an hour later, Chloe came out of the room. Her eyes were red and swollen, but her expression was lighter. "Did you talk it out?" I asked. "Yeah," she said, taking my hand. "My mom said she really likes you, and she told us to be happy." "That's good." On the train ride home, Chloe stared out the window. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "About how stupid people can be," she said. "We love each other, but because we don't know how to show it, we spend years hurting each other. It's not too late to understand now." "I know," she said, turning to me. "Ethan, thank you." "For what again?" "For giving me the courage to face all this," she said. "Without you, I don't think I ever would have reconciled with my mom." I kissed her forehead. "You were the brave one." She smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. The setting sun streamed through the window, bathing us both in gold. The wedding was set for the following spring. Chloe wanted something small and simple, with only close family and friends. I was happy to go along with whatever she wanted. My parents, however, insisted on something more traditional. We compromised on a small ceremony at a vineyard in the countryside. The night before the wedding, Chloe was too nervous to sleep. I sat with her in the living room, tried to calm her down. "What are you so nervous about?" "I'm afraid I'll mess up," she said. "What if I trip? What if I forget my vows? What if I drop the ring?" I laughed. "If you trip, I'll catch you. If you forget your vows, I'll whisper them to you. If you drop the ring, I'll pick it up. You don't think I'm being a pain?" "No," I said. "I love this side of you. The real you." She leaned against my shoulder. "Ethan, did I ever tell you why I have that habit?" "Which one?" "The no bra home thing." I paused. "No, you never did. When I was in middle school, I developed earlier than the other girls, and some of the boys in my class made fun of me," she said softly. "After that, I hated wearing a bra. It felt like a cage, like a constant reminder of other people's judgment. The only time I felt free, like my body was my own, was when I was at home without one." She looked up at me. "So, that first day, I told you about it on purpose. It was a test. I want to find someone who could accept the real me. If a person couldn't even accept that, there was no way we could ever build something deeper." It all clicked into place. It wasn't just a random quirk. It was her armor and her test. "Thank you for accepting me," she said. "I should be thanking you for letting me see the real you," I said, pulling her into a tight hug. "Chloe, I love you. All of you. I love you too." The wedding day was bright and sunny. Chloe wore a simple white dress, without any elaborate decorations, and she was breathtaking. The moment I saw her, I couldn't look away. Stunned speechless, Leo nudged me. "Yeah," I admitted honestly. The ceremony was short and sweet. We exchanged rings, said our vows, and kissed. My hands were shaking when I kissed her. Chloe just smiled and kissed me back. In the audience, my parents were wiping away tears. Chloe's mother was crying too. Her stepfather and brother were clapping enthusiastically. At the reception, Leo, as my best man, gave a speech full of embarrassing stories about me that had everyone roaring with laughter. One of Chloe's friends gave a toast, saying she was so happy Chloe had finally found her person. Finally, Chloe took the microphone. "I just want to say a few words," she said, looking at me. "Before I met you, I never thought about getting married. After I met you, I never thought about marrying anyone else. Ethan, thank you for coming into my life, for loving me, and for making me a better person. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." My own eyes were burning as I squeezed her hand. After the wedding, we didn't go on a honeymoon right away. Work was too crazy. But we made plans to go to Norway to see the northern lights at the end of the year. "A belated honeymoon," I said. "I love it," she smiled. Life settled back into a new normal. Chloe was thriving at her new job and had even gotten a promotion. My project was moving along smoothly. One weekend morning, I woke up and found Chloe wasn't in bed. I walked out of the bedroom and saw her standing on the balcony, wearing my button-down shirt, looking out at the sky. The morning light caught her, making her glow. I walked up behind her and wrapped my arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" "The first time we met," she said. "I never would have imagined back then that we would end up here." "Me neither," I said, "but I'm so glad we did." She turned in my arms and looped her arms around my neck. "Ethan, I'm so happy." "Me too." We shared a long, slow kiss there on the balcony of our new home in the morning light. The future was a long road, but we knew that no matter what happened, we would walk it together, hand in hand. Because of love, because of understanding, and because we had each found our person.